If you have a problem, if no one else can help, and if you can find them, maybe you can hire the A-Team.
Hi, my name is Charles Ho.
And I'm Zach Yop.
And I'm Corey Miller.
We are West Point cadets tasked with coming up with potential solutions to the refugee crisis in Europe, but more specifically in Germany.
With the destructive Syrian civil war and the instability of many Middle Eastern countries, the numbers of refugees have dramatically risen in the past decade. Starting in 2013, the immigration rate in Germany has skyrocketed, with Germany having the most asylum applications submitted compared to all other European nations. Since 2008, the first-time asylum applications filed in Germany has risen exponentially from approximately 20,000 to 430,000 applications last year alone. Due to this increase of refugee migrations from unstable countries, German citizens fear radicalized refugees migrating to Germany.
Recent polls state that majority of German citizens do not trust refugees migrating from the Middle East. Hence, we suggest fixing the vetting process of the migrating refugees in order to effectively make sure only non-radicalized refugees are let into Germany. Also, the current vetting process in Germany takes over 20 months to process refugees from the Middle East. The process is also often inefficient and inept to handle the dramatic increases of refugees in the past 5 years. Hence, we have created a refined problem statement that UCOM needs to develop a system that will reduce the refugee vetting process to 6 months in order to decrease the likelihood of refugee radicalization in Germany within the constraints of current moral, ethical, and political context.
In order to alleviate the refugee problem in Germany, we propose potential solutions to fixing the vetting process of refugees migrating to Germany. In order to create these potential solutions, we analyze 7 variables: method to locate, method to identify refugees in Germany, method of vetting, method of enforcement, leadership of the process, relationship with UCOM, and the number of vetting stations as key decisions in developing our solutions.
As Corey will get into later on, we've created a Zwicky's box in order to organize and analyze these variables and combine them to create potential solutions that cover these aspects of vetting. We have created the solutions based on feasibility and cost of potential solutions.
When looking at proposed alternative solutions to the refugee problem, we have 7 different variables. The first variable is location. This is broken down into 3 components: containment, checkpoints, and regional. Containment would be placing the refugees into containment refugee camps throughout the country. The second, checkpoints, would be a series of checkpoints along the border that refugees would pass through, and we would maintain accountability of those refugees as they continue to travel around the country. The third is regional. This is basically how the situation is run today, and we've decided that this is an unfeasible option. The second variable is identifying the refugees. The first is with a thumbprint recognition. The second is with a retina scan, and the third is with a country of birth recognition. However, we decided that this is also unfeasible because many of the refugees traveling to Germany do not have birth certificates or passports. The third variable is vetting the actual refugees. This is broken down into 2 components: a database relationship or a new database. The database relationship would play off of existing databases that are already around, while a new database would be creation of a new database. The fourth variable is reformation of the leadership to establish the refugee reforms. The first component would be a government leadership or a committee leadership. The government leadership would be run by the government of Germany, while the committee leadership would be run by an elected committee of German party members. The fifth variable is enforcement of the refugee vetting process. This is either with police, military, a special service, similar to that of the United States ICE, or with UCOM enforcement. The sixth variable is the relationship with UCOM. It's either a 2-way relationship, with UCOM as the subordinate to Germany, with a third-party oversight, or with UCOM as the dominant authority figure. The last variable is the number of vetting stations, either 20 to 40, 41 to 60, or 61 through 80, and lastly 81 through 100. These vetting stations would be located all throughout Germany and be a place for German refugees to go to receive paperwork. When looking at the variable cost for these alternative solutions, we can see that containment will cost about $2 million a month. Checkpoints will cost about $15 million for a total of 3 of them, which is a minimum figure that we've determined. Again, we've decided that regional is a non-feasible option. For identifying the refugees, a thumbprint will cost about $50 per person, the retina scan will cost about $70 per person, and the country of birth is $0 because they're from a different country and that doesn't cost any money. For vetting, a database relationship would be free because the database is already there. A new database is estimated to cost about $9.7 million. As for the leadership, whether it's a government or committee-run program, it would be free for either. As for the enforcement, the only cost for enforcement would be if there was a special service. This special service would cost approximately $5.34 billion. The specific relationships with UCOM would all be free. The amount of vetting stations cost would be variable. This is because it's roughly $84.4 million per vetting station. For solution proposition 1, checkpoints will be built throughout Germany to help locate refugees. Thumbprints will be used to identify refugees, and their data will be placed in and vetted through the creation of a new database. Reform leadership will consist of a committee board consisting of German politicians and military officials. The German police force will be used to enforce this solution. UCOM will take a subordinate role in this proposed solution, offering assistance as needed. The total number of vetting stations will be between 41 and 60, and this will be placed throughout Germany in major cities and border towns. The total cost for this solution is approximately $4.3 billion. For solution proposition 2, in order to locate refugees, they will be contained in refugee camps. At these camps, refugees will be identified with retina scans, and their data will be placed in and vetted through the creation of a new database. Reform leadership will be led by German government officials, and it will be enforced through German military forces. UCOM will take a dominant role in this proposed solution, giving guidance to the German military on what needs to be done. The total number of vetting stations will be between 20 and 40 and will be placed throughout Germany in major cities and border towns. The total cost for this solution is approximately $2.6 billion. For solution proposition 3, in order to locate refugees, they will be contained in refugee camps. At these camps, refugees will be identified with thumbprints, and their data will be run and vetted against a pre-existing database used by NATO and other forces. Reform leadership will consist of a committee board consisting of German politicians and military officials. This solution will be enforced through the creation of a German special service, similar to the American ICE. UCOM will take a subordinate role in this proposed solution, offering advice as needed. The total number of vetting stations will be between 61 and 80, and will be placed throughout Germany in major cities and border towns. The total cost for this solution is approximately $9 billion. For solution proposition 4, checkpoints will be built throughout Germany to help locate refugees. At these camps, refugees will be identified with retina scans, and their data will be ran and vetted against a pre-existing database used by NATO and other forces. Reform leadership will be led by German government officials and will be enforced through German military forces. UCOM will work hand-in-hand with Germany in this proposed solution, working as an equal partner. The total number of vetting stations will be between 81 and 100 and will be placed throughout Germany in major cities and border towns. The total cost for this solution is approximately $7.7 billion. The final proposed solution will locate refugees through containment camps. At these camps, refugees will be identified with retina scans, and their data will be placed in and vetted through the creation of a new database. Reform leadership will consist of a committee board consisting of German politicians and military officials, and will be enforced through German military forces. UCOM will take a dominant role in this proposed solution, giving guidance to the German military on what needs to be done. The total number of vetting stations will be between 81 and 100, and will be placed throughout Germany in major cities and border towns. The total cost for this solution is approximately $2.6 billion.
We are confident that any of these solutions have the potential to alleviate the current refugee crisis in Germany.
In order to choose a definite candidate solution out of all these potential solutions, we request 3 more weeks of analysis. After these 3 weeks, we will be able to find the best fit solution and give a more detailed analysis.
Thank you for listening to our presentation, and we hope you consider us for an option for the solution in Germany for the refugee crisis.